Today we're going to learn how to send email notification with SmartLink on specific alarms or any other events in EntraPass. That specific demo is linked only to EntraPass Corporate and EntraPass Global. So things we have to look for: we have to make sure the SmartLink is running and communicating with the server. Also, make sure you have an email server that does not require authentication. Make sure the antivirus is not blocking emails from SmartLink. We also need to create an email task for the SmartLink. Then after that, we have to create a trigger for the specific events. In this video, we will demonstrate for door first open. So this demo can apply to all other events in the system that you need to send out emails notification. So without further delay, we're going to see how we can configure this in the EntraPass Corporate. So in the server workstation, so the first thing we need to do is to go on the devices EntraPass application. From that, you're going to select the SmartLink. And once you got the SmartLink selected, it's very important to go under the tab that says SmartLink Email. Under the SmartLink Email, where it says email server or exchange server, we need to enter the IP address or the name of the email server. And the email port by default is going to be 25. For email sender, we can enter a valid recipient, or we can just enter the name of the workstation that is sending out the email. And one thing that we're going to do to validate the server is configured properly, under where it says send to, we're going to enter a valid email address from the exchange server. So from that, we click on test. Once we click on test, we got a response that says configuration is okay. So that's mean the email server is working fine and the system sees the email server. And at this point, you should receive an email to your recipient on your email, on your Outlook. So now we're going to continue to configure our system. So the next thing that we have to do, we're going to go to Definition Task Builder. On the Definition Task Builder, we're going to create a new task for the email. So first thing we need to do, we need to click on the new page and then give it a name. So now, if we look on the toolbar for the task builder, there's different icons that we have. So for our purpose, we're going to select the email icon. And once we get the email icon, so first thing that we're going to enter is from. So whose the email is going to be generated from? So from our test, it will be generated from the server workstation. 2. Who is the email is going to? If we have multiple recipients, we just have to separate them with a semicolon, just if you were doing a regular email via Outlook or Yahoo or any other email that you have. And then the next thing, we need to include the subject. The subject, we could type in the subject, or we can just select a variable within the software by doing a right click. And then from the right click, we're going to select the event. So on the event, what we need to select the text so we can see the event textually. Then after that, if we go under the body of the email, we can also do a right click. And when we do the right click, we're going to select the date. And then we have different format that we can select the date. We select character string to put a space. And then from that, right click again, and then from that, we're going to select the time. And then we have, as we said, we have different format for the time also. So select the one that you see fit. So now we got the date, we got the time, and then now we need to select the specific the event that we want. So now we're going to select text. And then from that, under information, we're going to select the index text, and also we're going to select the information that we're getting under the component text. And then from that, we can save that information. Once we get that information saved, so the next step we have to do now is to go under event trigger. Under event trigger, this is where we're going to link the trigger to that specific task that we just built. So we have to create a new trigger. So DFO, that represent door forced open. So on the component type, we need to select the specific component. We can select applications, camera, controllers, but since we're working on a door, we're going to select the door component. And under the trigger source, we have different ways. We can select a single component, which is one single door, or we can select a trigger group, which is a group of doors that we had defined before previously, or we can select all the components that is linked to a door. So in our situation, we're going to select a single door, and then from that, we're going to select the door in question that we want. So it's always good if you have a valid name for your door. That way it's easier for you to recognize the doors within the list. So for this one, we're going to select the controller 1, door 1, and demo. And then the trigger schedule. When do we want the email to be implemented? Do you want the email to be sent 24/7 or only from, let's say, Monday to Friday from 8 to 5, or specific time frames? So for the time, we're going to select always valid. And then for the trigger destination, we have to select a smart link. Or the good thing with the software, we can select any online smart link. So if they have 2 smart links, the first one that is online is going to use that one to be sending out the emails. So if we look on the list, as we see, there's only 1 smart link defined in the system. So we can leave it to any online smart link, or we could have chosen that smart link specifically. And for the task builder, now we have to link the specific task builder that's going to be linked to this trigger. We already created the task builder a few minutes ago. So we're going to click on the 3 blue dots. And then from that, if you had other task builder created, you will see the list. So from that, we need to select the specific one that we want. Okay, so once we get that selected, so now the next thing, we need to go under the event tab. Under the event tab, there's a bunch of events that we could select. Since we're looking for door forced open, so we're going to select that specific event only. So once we get that checked, and then we make sure on the general all our information is entered properly, then we can save that trigger. So now the trigger is saved. So now the next thing that we need to do, we need to verify is the smart link is running in the software, if it's communicating. So one of the easiest thing we could do is to go on the status connection, and from there we're going to see on the connection list. So now if we look for the smart link is in red, so that means it's not connected. If we look for the multi-site gateway, so that means at the moment the gateway is running, and there's actually communication with the controller. And this is the same thing also with the server workstation, is working, is communicating with the server. That's why we have all the information here of who's logging into the workstation at the moment, and then what is the version of the control, what is the version of the software, and so forth. So now if we go to operation and then site, we could validate we have communication with the controller. So now the next thing we need to do is to start the smart link. So since the smart link is already installed so we need to go either on the desktop if you have a shortcut, or if you go on the start programs, and then from that go to EntraPass corporate and then smart link, and then select the shortcut for the smart link application to start. So now once we got the smart link running and communicating with the server, so now there's one thing that I'm going to show you that is important when it's time to troubleshoot the system, to see if your system is indeed sending out the events for the smart link email. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to go on the system and then operator, and then select the operator in question that you're using. In order to recognize the operator, there's always a plus sign on the one that is actually logged into the system. At the moment is the installer. So now what we're going to check is to make sure we have concurrent login checked. So meaning if this is checked, so that's mean with that same operator we can log into multiple applications. So if we had different workstation, we could log in with the same user on different applications. So now we're going to log into the smart link. So once we log on the smart link, we're going to go on the system, and then we're going to select show transactions. So by selling show transaction, we're going to see all the events that is going through the smart link. So now the next thing we need to do for our test, we need now to activate the door first open and to validate if the smart link is sending out an email. As you can see, we had the events door first open and then door first open restore. And if you look afterwards, we have the event that says SmartLink email result, SmartLink email sent successfully, door first open trigger. And with that, so that confirms me the SmartLink sent out the email, and from the SmartLink transaction list, you can really confirm that the email was sent out. And what you can do also on your Outlook, just validate if you did receive an email. And this completes how simple it is to send an email on alarm notification in EntraPass Corporate or EntraPass Global.